TVM Solver, reducing balance loans with changing conditions. Now, in our example, $150,000 is borrowed for 25 years at 6.8% per annum, compounding monthly. And we need to work out the monthly repayments. Question B is actually an unnecessary question in that they're giving you a helping hand, because what's really happening is after 3 years, the interest rate rises to 7.2% per annum. What are the new repayments to still pay off the loan after a total of 25 years? Now, they're helping you out with question B because to work out C, you'll need to know how much is still owing after 3 years. So they might not give you that question. They might just drop you in the deep end and just give you this. Now, the one thing I really need you to remember, and I'm going to write this in purple, changing conditions. That is when something changes partway through the loan. The biggest tip I can give you is pretend it's a new loan. That is, pretend that you've got to that point, find out how much you still owe, and then treat your new reasoning as if it's a new loan based on still owing that much. Let's renegotiate a loan based on that amount. Honestly, that's the best thing you can do. You will, in some questions, need to consider what's happening in the first part of the loan and the second part of the loan. But at the moment, when you change conditions, pretend it's renegotiating a loan. So we start with the original problem, and we're going to use our TVM Solver. So as always, set up your working, which will be your printout of the TVM Solver, and work out what's involved. We've got monthly repayments, which means PY and CY are 12. N is thus going to be 12 times 25 years. And we'll work that out when we get our calculator. Interest rate, oh sorry, I didn't circle my 25 years. Interest rate, 6.8. Present value, I've got the principal, 150,000. The question is asking, what are the monthly repayments? So I'm going to be solving for my payments. And because I need to pay it off in full, my future value needs to be 0. So as always, have that written down before you start getting carried away with putting it into the TVM Solver. 12 times 25, okay, that's 300, so we go back and put that in. We're solving for the payments. Future value is 0. PY and CY are 12. Go back and alpha, solve for the repayments. Once again, write down what you got. And then, two very important things to do. One, word answer. So for question A, positive answer because the repayments, that gives the negative implication. 2 decimal places, and that's per month. Now, when you have to work out how much is still owing after 3 years, remember you will have to change your repayments on the calculator to be the rounded value. because we're going to do, sorry, I didn't label my question, that was A. We're going to do question B, how much is still owing after 3 years? That will mean our TVM solver needs to be written out again. And some of these things will change. How much is still owing after 3 years? Our present value is still going to be 150,000. PY and CY aren't going to change. Interest rate is still the same. How much is still owing means you're solving for future value. Our payments are the rounded value as a negative, because that's what's actually being paid, not the unrounded amount. We pay in 2 decimal places. And after 3 years means that now n will be 12 times 3, 36. So you have to be aware of what things need to change when you change what it is that you're finding under the same scenario. So, solving for future value. Still got 142,000 owing after 3 years. We write that in here. And answer the question, how much is still owing? Round to 2 decimal places. By saying still owing, that's the negative bit, so we give a positive answer. We always give our answers as positive. Now, after 3 years, the interest rate rises to 7.2% per annum. What are the new repayments to still pay off the loan after 25 years? Treat it as a new loan. We're still making monthly repayments, so that's still 12. After 25 years means in total, we've just done 3 years. There's 22 years left. So n will be 12 times 22. Doesn't go back to 25 because we're still also considering the old scenario. We've done 3 years. 25 in total means 22 years. Interest rate just changed to 7.2% per annum. Think of it as a new loan. The present value is now the amount that's still owing. You still owe this much, and for some reason you have to renegotiate a loan. This is your new principal. Because that's what you still owe. The question is asking, what are the new repayments? So we're solving for our payments, and we want to pay it off, so our future value is 0. The big thing that's going to mess with you is making sure you get the right n, the amount of years left, depending on what the question is asking for, and that you only owe this much, and so if you had to renegotiate a new loan, you would have to be starting with a value of this much. So we hop in and we change everything that needs to change. Future value to 0, payments to 0 so you can solve it. Present value changes. Interest rate changes. Number of payments changes. Write that one in while we think about it. And then we solve, for the payments. Negative 1076.1798. Obviously, the repayment value has gone up because the interest rate went up and we still want to pay it off in the same amount of time. And word answer, what are the new repayments? Rounding to 2 decimal places. So I can't stress enough, think of any change after a certain amount of time in the loan as just what would be the conditions if we stopped now and got a new loan to deal with it.